Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of Extreme Hardware Podcast, a Canadian Thanksgiving edition of the Extreme Hardware Podcast, in fact.
Yeah.
We have our usual suspects here. Thank you, Chris. We have Chris.
Yeah, Alex
as
is not a real Canadian.
No. Thanks. This is the best intro ever. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
We have our delectable Mr. Friculous Froculus.
Greetings, salutations.
You say the same thing every time, okay. And
it's brand consistency.
Brand consistency. So you're known for your brand.
Known for that extreme hardware brand.
Okay. Well, that's kind of all we have here today. A rather skeleton crew.
Yeah, it's okay though. Simmons is alive. He sent me a picture while he was taking a shower.
I did do that.
Yeah, I need to get a waterproof phone so I can use Twitter in the shower.
You do know
what's
that
the IP rating for that?
It's not high enough. You do know that you can't use it because the touchscreen won't work with water on it.
Well, that probably depends on the touchscreen, and also shut up.
Okay. Also, you could just use gloves. I had that same problem. You put gloves on, special magnetic gloves, no problem.
Skeleton Crew works really well because it's October and it's spooky.
Spooktober!
Yes.
This is where if we had a soundboard, we would insert spooky, scary skeletons or bones jangling or something.
Yeah, that's my ringtone now.
What, like this? Anyway.
Wait, Alex, I don't get it. I didn't hear anything.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine.
Anyway.
No, I don't get it. What's the joke?
No, there's no joke. Stop it, Chris. Okay, so...
I'm going to get you to punch me in the face in real life. It'll be funny.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Anyway, do you want to crack on with the news?
No.
Okay, cool. So IGN has done a survey. IGN is, I wouldn't say it's a survey. They kind of investigated all the cuts or how much Steam takes and how much Epic Games Store takes. GOG, sorry, itch.io, Microsoft Store, Humble Store, etc., etc., etc. And I think this is just kind of interesting because a lot of people were, when Epic Games revealed how much they take for a cut, they were criticizing Steam for taking 30%. So this just kind of breaks down how different game stores and console stores take from the developers, and it actually reveals that Steam's not as bad as people thought in terms of what they take. It's a flat 30%, same as GOG and the Microsoft Store, but as the game owns more, they take less of a cut. And Epic Games Store's 12%, Humble Store's 25%, itch.io, you can take whatever you want, really.
That's right. That's the kind of thing where, because I want to see, that's an interesting study. They're setting the trends and all that thing. But the thing is, I've looked at that study, and I looked over the data, and what they failed to mention is that Steam was the first digital marketplace for games, and as a result, they were the first one to set the cuts in the first place. So question...
It is also worth mentioning that physical stores, like brick and mortar stores, take 30% as well. So
but
it's not Steam.
So... See, here's the difference between, a physical store has a product. They have to operate it, they have to staff it, whatever. With, a digital storefront, all you do is just, hello, Amazon, I'd like some AWS instances. But, if you look at it, so, PlayStation Store, Xbox Store, Nintendo eShop, all of those guys get, dev resources from the console guys. So, yeah, they're kind of getting their money's worth. But when it comes to Steam, what is Valve really doing here? Valve is taking money. What are they providing in return exactly? What are they providing in return that is worth 3/10 of the cost of the game?
Well, I mean, they do have quite a large staff. The data that's throughput on Steam as well. I saw a graph the other day. It's several terabytes, I think an hour, or was it a day? But it's a lot of bandwidth that they deal with. Plus, there's
well, sure,
just
but
maintaining its servers and stuff like that. I would be very interested to see the cost comparison to. I mean, it'd be really, you can't do it to Walmart because it's impossible to narrow it down to the games. Maybe GameStop would be the best. Because Best Buy again,
too many used games at GameStop wouldn't work.
Yeah. I mean, you can't do Amazon, you can't do Best Buy. Best Buy sells like games is like a side gig from Best Buy, you know?
Alex,
Best Buy's hemorrhaging money anyway. Best Buy is like shutting down every store there is, and they're hemorrhaging money.
Really? That's interesting because they.
Only thing Best Buy is good for is for like demoing laptops. So it's like, do I want to buy this or not? So, I'll just poke at it at Best Buy and then order on Amazon.
They used to be, but like I bought my TV from Best Buy and they have some very good pricing at times. And it seems like they're trying to get rid of that stigma of they're the Amazon demo store.
Yeah.
By doing aggressive pricing. Maybe it is actually hurting them. And maybe they just can't get rid of the stigma.
The real problem, though, with like the fall of brick and mortar stores, like above all else, is the fact that if brick and mortar stores go away, how will I fight people on Black Friday?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think brick and mortar stores will ever disappear. Like, there's no way the Costco or the Walmarts are disappearing. But I can see the sort of the medium-sized stores disappearing.
Well, even
small
then,
stores.
Walmart started a thing where you can do like online grocery orders. So like you just order your stuff and they load it into your car. And I think if you buy more than $50 worth, they don't charge you a fee for it. So it's like retail is going to end up moving to a point where, number one, it emphasizes convenience, and number two, it like abstracts human labor and the act of purchasing money from getting your things. It's going to be weird.
Would you rather pay let's say a flat premium of 5% on all your groceries to get it online? Like let's negate the delivering cost. Like they deliver it to your house or whatever. Would you pay 5% more for that versus going to the store?
I do.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a thing here. I don't know if it is in the US and Canada.
Depends on what it is, because like number one, part of the fun of going to the grocery store is seeing what kind of neat food things do I want. But number two, like if there's fresh produce or meat or something like that I'm buying, I'm probably gonna avoid like ordering that. But if it's like box stuff, why not? Who cares?
Going back to what you said about what does Valve do for that 30% cut, I found a list. These are some of the things that you get when you put a game on Steam. The first thing, you get your own dedicated forums, support, achievements, trading card systems.
Wow, achievements! Boy!
So you get workshop support for mods, cloud saving, integration with Steam inventory, a market where devs can make money through in-game items, exposure to the biggest audience in PC gaming, Valve's networking API, which is really big.
Yeah.
And not to mention all
good.
I honestly think you're paying money. Sorry, I honestly think you're paying money just for like the exposure, the advertising, and the convenience.
The what now? I've watched. Look, dude. I've watched enough Jim Sterling videos about Steam to know that you don't get any exposure on Steam because there is such a flood of trash that as soon as your game goes up on Steam, there's going to be like 10, 20 different asset flips that are going to push it off the front page by the time the day is over. Like, you don't really get exposure on Steam at all because Valve has just opened up the floodgates for whatever trash wants to get on the store.
I would say
Steam.
I would say you get a lot more exposure than you do going to Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, GameStop.
I mean,
because it's just the sheer volume. Yeah.
Let's say the exposure isn't even a factor. There's still the massive, massive amounts of financial burden that comes with hosting, bandwidth, network API, all the other stuff, voice chats, text, like all that stuff comes into play, and it's all included. Like bandwidth, despite what a lot of people might think, that is not cheap. And if your game
is 100% free if you do peer-to-peer.
Right, that's true. But I mean, that right there is a major thing. And plus, the fact that if your game is successful, you do pay less. Like I think it's like 20% or 25% the more it gets.
Yeah, if you make millions, so that's not going to be most indie devs.
I suppose never know. It also includes the VAC system.
Oh, good.
Does anybody actually use VAC?
CS:GO. It's always funny seeing CS:GO pros being banned.
Yeah, that's
That's
a
like
Valve
this.
game, so I'm not
It's a-
surprised if Valve game is using Valve anti-cheat. Thank you, Alex.
Thank
The
you.
competition
I'm
thing, right?
smart.
Yeah, you are.
If you look at what Epic's game store is offering, they don't even have a functioning search bar.
Yeah, they
okay, you don't be offering any of that other stuff. It's
Hang
like it's such a big thing, and Valve consistently adds to it all the time.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
looking at Epic Game Store right now, and there is indeed a search bar. Frick, please update your talking points.
Frick,
Oh,
I'm going to
this is-
search for
Frick.
Metro.
Frick, this is
Metro
the
games.
second
3
time.
Metro games
This
popped
is the
up.
second time you've lied to me, Frick. I'm
Yeah.
disappointed in you.
Oh wait,
You
no, what?
Reddit bastard! Update your talking points.
What's that OS that Valve does that like gets a Linux compatibility? What's that
Steam
called?
OS that they don't really support because it's just a crappy I was about to say BDSM. BSD build with like Steam OS layered on top. They're not
thought it
Steam
was
OS, just like
Proton.
Steam.
Isn't it
Proton, that's-
Ubuntu?
I'm pretty sure it's BSD. Hang on.
You're
Steam
probably
OS.
right.
It is a common flavor. Debian.
Okay. But
I was thinking about Proton.
Yeah, Steam pushing things that aren't games, they generally tend to be pretty bad at it. Like, I'd
Yeah.
say the Index is probably their most successful push of
Oh yeah,
things
that's
that aren't
right.
games.
So I've got like 2 Steam links sitting on my desk right now. I bought them last year when they were 95% off. That was an adventure because I had to fight with FedEx to get my package, and they lied about a delivery attempt one day. Anyway, but yeah, no,
Oh,
I
that's
got these because they were like very cheap. Haven't used them, but they're actually pretty cool. They're like dedicated network streaming devices. They have like the chip that's used in a Raspberry Pi, essentially, and it just is a remote desktop, and you can plug
Wait.
in a USB port or USB device. There we go, like keyboard and mouse and whatnot, and you can just like. I'm not entirely clear on how it works. It like there's some driver that converts your whatever monitor output, because you can just use it at like you don't have to use it for games. It just like MP4 compresses it, and you can view it remotely, and it's really neat. And I need to get these set up now that I think about it.
You should totally send me one.
I mean, I did only spend like $250 on them. It was $250 and like $10 shipping.
Oh my
Did you get
god.
from AliExpress or something?
Yeah, no, I mean,
Like they're neat
don't know.
devices, and if somebody like breaks open the firmware or something, so you can install a custom OS on it, that'd be exciting.
yeah, I would just use it for like a TeamViewer replacement, basically, because
Yeah.
TeamViewer keeps thinking I'm using it for commercial use, which is really annoying because it keeps locking me out
Why does it think you're a commercial user?
because I use it like every day. But
Ah,
I don't know. It just says like you're a commercial user, you're gonna get kicked out in 5 minutes. It doesn't kick me out, but it doesn't let me back in if I try to log in within 30 minutes.
You download the portable version that you won't have that issue.
I can't be bothered, to be
Ooh.
honest.
hey, just found
All that.
a thing. The Steam Link can run Kodi.
Oh,
And from there, I guess you can just toss on whatever you want, because like
that can
Kodi's
be
pretty
like
powerful.
a really cheap, like Android streaming thing for your TV.
Yeah, like install RetroArch on your Steam Link. I remember, last year when I was looking into this, the issue was that like they couldn't get hardware acceleration working. So for video decoding, it was a bit bad. But maybe that's
Okay.
changed. For emulators, at least, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, there was a new emulator that just came out. Did you you guys know about the Win XPD, right? Like really good little emulation box.
Maybe.
I have never heard of that. And I mean, if you're going for emulation, what kind of emulation do you mean?
Yeah, so also basically it's a device called the GPD Win, and it's a small little portable tablet computer that's specifically used for emulation. So like emulating old video games.
Oh, I've
PlayStation.
seen these. Yeah, they're on eBay a lot. Unlike they're on Chinese eBay a lot. You can like import them from Hong Kong. They're just like little Atom-based palm tops. Haven't seen those in ages.
Yeah, well,
like-
those are still being actively updated. But the thing is with that, when those dropped, the technology was already a little bit out of date. I guess you could say it wasn't like the most up to date thing. Now because of like all the new SoCs that are dropping that are a lot more efficient and a lot less power hungry, we're seeing kind of like a revelation or a revolution, I guess, in that portable sort of form factor for emulation.
Yeah.
So I've just been going insane because that GPD Win, that model, which came out years ago, $300, right? And it could run, PS1 games, all that stuff, okay? Now there's a little box that just dropped. I'm gonna see if I can find the link. But a new emulation box that's $100 and is like 5 times more powerful.
What is
and
this
it's
thing?
GPD Win.
Frick,
GPD Win.
Well, no, the new one.
GPD Win 2.
Yeah, GPD Win 2. That one is using an Intel Core M3, so that's
Frick,
really good.
Can I ask, when you said $100, do you not mean $1,000?
No,
because it's
the new
$1,000 on Amazon.
Alex, you're not looking in the right place.
There's one
at
that
Aliexpress.
It's not from GPD. It's from a different company. I'll see if I can find the link because I was gonna pre-order one actually.
All right. First of all, we've got on eBay $500 an auction.
Mm-hmm.
$400 auction. I'm sure there's clones of these though. Like I'm certain it's China. Like they have no respect for IP law, and I can totally get behind that because I don't either.
What I do like about AliExpress is the amazing ads that you see on there. Like they are products for things that you've never dreamed of.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, do you want a dog sleeping bag? AliExpress will have it.
I want to crawl inside the dog and sleep.
No.
Oh, that's different. Oh, okay. I thought that, okay, like...
No, stop.
Can you imagine, though, it's like a sleeping bag in the shape of a dog and you just crawl inside the mouth?
How that even work?
Please, no.
They're good boys, Alex.
Okay. Anyway, do you want to get back to something a bit more relevant?
No, I'm having
sleeping
fun.
Bags, I've noticed. Chris, how much do you like AMD?
They're all right.
How much do you like the Radeon series?
Radeon, more like...
Okay, cool. So,
AMD for API.
Okay, AMD's announcing the RX 5500 series, which is
His
supposed
name.
It makes sense when you only look at the RX 5700. If you look at any of the other lineup, it makes no sense. But it's supposed to be their mid-range, sort of like internet cafe.
Yeah,
I don't want to say internet cafe because it's a bit overpowered for internet cafe, but kind of like 1080p, maybe 1440p.
Yeah, this
GPU.
is going to be like their mainstream, just like their mainstream thing, like the $100 to $200 range. It's going to be at a bunch of like $1,000 laptops, just that kind of thing. It's going to be a nice little chip.
Yeah, it's pretty cute as well. It's pretty small.
Yeah.
Single fan in the middle. I mean, there's no like not OEM, all in board partner sort of GPUs demoed yet. It's just the Radeon stock cooler.
Yeah, just a reference.
Using the same 7 nanometer TSMC processor as the 5700. It's gonna have, I believe, 8 gigs and 4 gigs of VRAM, which is pretty nice. Considering it's hopefully going to come to that around $250 range. 8 gigs of VRAM is quite nice. GDDR6 as well, and then the usual sort of specs. 150 watts is the power consumption that is quoted there.
Oh, that's actually quite a bit hotter than I was expecting. Okay, I've just now read that. Well, okay, so looking at the specs, the at least the OEM variant, boost clock is like 1.8 gigahertz, which is rather quick. So that would probably explain the power consumption, because they're going for that's going to be like stupid voltages.
This thing is $150, not $250. Holy crap!
What? No, has there been a price leaked?
On Tweaktown, it says we're expecting a price of 150 for it, and then the 5500 will go for 130.
Oh yeah, no, that's what we're talking about, the 5500.
Yeah.
So it is also worth mentioning they're releasing 3 clocks, just like with the 5700. They have base clock, minimum expected at all scenarios, boost clock, and then game clock. I assume their game clock is what is going to be the sort of expected average in any sort of game-like scenario.
Yeah, clock speed on GPUs is kind of meaningless. Like, they just basically, if a GPU has a power budget and a GPU is not overheating, then the GPU will ramp up the clock speed.
Yeah,
that's just how they work these days.
I think they're including the game clock because I know, especially with GPU boost, like on NVIDIA's side, a lot of people were like, it's supposed to be advertised boost clock is like 1900 or something, and I'm only getting 1888. Like, it's barely below. But then they're like, I'm getting ripped off or whatever. And like, a lot of people would have to explain that's in an ideal scenario, or, you won't always see that. It's like, but it's advertised. It's like, yeah, but I mean, maybe you're not in the ideal scenario. Maybe just a million different variables. Another thing I do want to mention
for the same thing, when they would buy like a 2 terabyte hard drive and it would have like 1.7 terabytes on it. They're like,
that's not even getting ripped off. That's just different measurements. Oh God, don't get me started on this.
I know. Microsoft is stealing my gigabytes. But yeah, sorry, one thing I do want to mention is that it's supposed to have the same power draw as the 480 and the 580 respectively.
Oh, so, 480 power draw. That was
not the GTX. No, not the GTX 480.
Oh no, I know. I'm referring to the RX where it had like it's pulling too much power from the PCI Express slot controversy.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was funny because I lied to Reddit and I got them to believe that it fragged my motherboard. That was fun.
Didn't you draw
I
on
helped
your
you with
motherboard?
that.
Didn't I draw? No, I didn't draw on it. I just like lit some matches and I got some ashes all over the motherboard and I convinced them that it was burned up.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was funny.
Like, what if AMD like sued you for slander?
They can't do that.
Can't really do that.
But they tried to. Or they're like, you know what?
They wouldn't because
you disgrace the brand of AMD and now you will pay dearly for it.
Oh no.
That would look so bad for AMD. Yeah. AMD sues consumer over burnt GPU. Like, that would not go down well.
It's happened before. Dude, I don't know if you're familiar with this phenomenon, but I used to read reviews on Yelp all the time. And every time I'd read a review, there'd be somebody who was like, it was good, but like the burgers were a little undercooked or something like that. But they give it like 4 stars out of 5. And then the owner, because the owners can reply to reviews on Yelp, will come out like completely overreacts, like, oh, you just don't know what good taste is. What you need to do, go around the corner to the Burger Shack and get yourself $1, but you don't deserve to eat this. You don't deserve. It's like they just go off the handle. So I've seen it happen quite a few times.
Just one last thing, back to the RX 5500. Thank you for the contribution there, Frick. Importantly, Alex mentioned this GDDR6. That really sets this apart from NVIDIA because a lot of NVIDIA's low-end GTX 1600 cards are still using GDDR5. So that's going to be a buttload more bandwidth, and I'm pretty sure even the RX 5500 is going to be starved for that as is. So,
I mean, it's nice. AMD has always actually been really, really good at the mid-range target. Like ever since the RX 480. I mean, the PCI thing was really meaningless, but ever since then, I mean, even back to the RX 280, they've just been hitting it out the park with the mid-range cards. I mean,
like AMD does a really good job. Like, generally speaking, they have wider buses than NVIDIA and more VRAM as a result as well, which is really good.
I'm not going to mention that this has a 128-bit bus then, but hey.
Hey, I said generally. It's either as wide or wider, and we're dealing with 128 and 192 from NVIDIA, and NVIDIA's like crippling them with GDDR5. So narrow bus, but GDDR6. That's cool. It's cool. It's good. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay, you're comparing mid-range to mid-range. Yeah, I was going to say that the high end of AMD is 256 and high end of Nvidia's like 352, I think.
Oh yeah, the top tier stuff. It's 384
Yeah.
minus a 32-bit memory controller. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
They've got 12. They disable 1.
Yeah, I can check, but it's meaningless.
Yeah.
Anyway, something really fun and
Cocaine?
yes, indeed. I'm so glad this is not monetized at all because we don't have to care about any of that. So
Yeah, I monetize my cocaine because I'm not giving that away for free.
anyway, this comes to no surprise from where this originates from. But anyway, regardless, Epic Games is being sued, or I don't want to say they're being sued, but someone wants to sue Epic Games for not for not warning parents that Fortnite, I don't know if you knew this, guys, but just listen in. Fortnite is actually allegedly as addictive as cocaine.
Yeah, I can see it.
So someone
hang on. A Montreal-based law firm launched a proposed class action in Canada on behalf of 2 Quebec parents. Friggin' Quebekies, okay. It's always Quebec.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
They don't want to be named for obvious reasons, but they are FN. They are FN and Jay-Z, not that Jay-Z.
We don't know
they
that. We don't know that. It could be that Jay-Z.
I would like to think that. Anyway, they are unable to control their 10 and 15-year-old kids from just being absolutely smashed against the computer monitor or their phone with Fortnite. They are just huffing this Fortnite like crazy. So this article is from USA Today, and it goes on to say that roughly 250 million people, mostly gamers, are obsessed with battling it out in the Fortnites. There's a darn decent chance your kids are now amongst them. Better watch out, fellow gamer parents. Dab.
I'm a gamer parent. I play Mario.
Yeah, you went to the Montreal-based law firms representing 2 Quebecians, yeah. So, yeah, they are basically just saying this game is addictive as cocaine. And
you know why this happened, right? You know why this lawsuit's coming up now?
Frick, before you answer your own question, I'm going to say it's because these people cannot parent their kids.
They need to be beaten more. If you beat your kids, they don't
parents
end
or
up like
the
me.
kids?
Don't beat your kids.
No, don't beat your kids.
So the reason this is coming along now is because literally a day or two before all this happened, Epic, the wonderful Epic, they just settled another lawsuit they had against a 14-year-old boy for selling cheats on his YouTube channel. And it happened the day or two before this lawsuit actually launched in. This lawsuit is, I mean, I'm sure maybe there's a basis in that. It's completely done for revenge for that kid. Because that kid, he lost, man. Fortnite settled out of court with this. So that kid, that 14-year-old kid who was accused of selling cheats on his YouTube channel, which
That's
had 14,000. Oh, by the way, the links that he was quote unquote selling in his channel just went to like a forum post on a completely different site. But this lawsuit came around in revenge of that because people are pissed about that. Now that's why this is coming forward.
I suppose it's just so silly. It really is. Like their justification for it in French, obviously it's Quebec, is that they say the player's brain, obviously the Fortnitean's brain, releases quote unquote the pleasure hormone dopamine, and that
Hook me up with the
Fortnite,
dopamine, boys.
hang on, let me finish this. And that the Fortnite was developed by psychologists, statisticians, and others over 4 years to develop the most addictive game possible so that Epic could reap lucrative profits.
Okay,
Do you know
that's
how
actually accurate though. Like this is, yeah, dude. They use psychologists for this kind of thing.
No, okay, I wouldn't say psychologists, but it's kind of
psychologists.
No,
it's brain science man's. It's brain science man's, Alex. They do the brain science.
No, but like it's such a stupid statement because obviously, especially when it's like an online, it's not a MOBA, but like an online game that mainly pushes you buying sort of skins, guns, power-ups or whatever, anything like that. they're obviously going to push it to be as addictive, as engaging as possible. That's the whole point of the thing.
Yeah.
You know? So,
and I mean, like, I'm not going
that's not
to
unique.
I'm not going to condone illegal drug use either, but like, it is way cooler to spend your money on cocaine than it is to spend your money on V-Bucks.
Oh yeah, do you remember that YouTube thing that came out where it's like, what do you get demonetized for? You get demonetized for the word V-Bucks. I find that so funny. Just like, oh my goodness.
That is a
And
surprise.
people
also.
think Epic is so hard up for money that they need to use Fortnite to make as much of it as possible is done by people that have no idea about anything. Fortnite is Epic is
They're
a
rolling
15
in 10-cent money.
They're a $15 billion company. Okay, they are not hard up for cash. Not to mention, that's probably not even where they make the bulk of their money, because one of the things that Epic owns, the Unreal Engine, and basically every AAA title uses that engine. And when they do, they have to give royalties to Epic over and over and over and over again.
They're
They've been around
actually,
for like 30 years.
Yeah, Frick, they're actually kind of changing how Unreal works. I can't remember which version of the engine, though, or like when this would have applied, but they are changing it, so it's going to be more accessible and I think a bit cheaper as well. Which,
That's worth $15
I mean,
billion.
that's good, but yeah, they've definitely made bank off that in the past.
That would
Plus,
make
Fortnite
sense.
is hemorrhaging money. Did you see
Is
that report that just came out that said Fortnite like lost 50% of its profitability this year?
Wow,
Or
it
like
lost
the best one?
profitability. That doesn't mean that it's losing money. That just means it's making less money than it was before.
Fortnite is dead. It's dead forever. It's
Oh,
dead
yeah,
in the
you're
water.
right.
TeamViewer, one of the biggest Fortnite streamers, came out, TeamViewer, and said point blank, it's a dead game.
I mean, in terms of like trends, especially like game trends, it's lasted a really long time. I can see it just continuing, but just kind of like, you know, very low popularity, not low popularity, but low compared to what it used to be popularity, but just not really dying.
Yeah, I
think it's going to
say
go the
for
way
record.
of like PUBG or something.
Yeah, Fortnite is better than PUBG.
Have you played either?
No, but Fortnite's better than PUBG because it actually looks fun.
Well, don't you like how the realism aspect?
Oh wow, the realism aspect. Yeah, that's so cool. It's like if you get shot once, you're dead. And they have like real guns instead of fake guns. Ooh, the game's so much more realistic that I can use my M16A4 Mark 20 Mod A10 or whatever. I don't know.
Okay,
I'm
so
sure.
I'm just going to remember that you like Fortnite. Right. Okay,
I
anyway.
don't like Fortnite. I prefer it to PUBG because I have standards.
Nope.
What standards? What are you going to die on the hill of a billion-dollar video game publishers that don't care about you?
Sure, why not?
I mean, tons of PC enthusiasts do that.
As a gamer, AMD is my friend.
Oh my goodness.
Lisa Sue and I will get married together. I'm certain of this.
Lisa Sue is
Oh my
happily
goodness.
married, and I hope that she and her husband have a nice life together.
Thank you, Chris. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm very glad you went there.
What?
I
It's
mean, yes,
sincere.
Lisa Sue
I
knows
hope
it.
you-
That's all. I know where you can go with this, so just
I'm not going anywhere with it.
stop,
I just
stop,
think she's a
stop.
nice person.
stop. Red Dead Redemption 2, Chris. Red Dead
Wow.
Redemption 2.
Never heard of that.
This is the
game.
hardest segue in the world.
Never
Red Dead
heard of Red
Redemption
Dead
2.
Redemption 2. I've never heard of that game.
You're right.
before,
I'm
Alex.
sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Do you know Grand Theft Auto 2?
Oh yeah, that's a cool game.
Okay, so Grand Theft Auto 2.
Yeah.
They released the sort of recommended specs for it, and honestly, the game, I've seen it on console briefly. It looks quite stunning for what it is, and I really hope they up the graphics like they did with GTA 5.
They will. They've confirmed they are.
Yeah. They did
That's
mention
nice.
they're adding like new graphical effects.
So yeah, it's a game I actually really am kind of excited to get, if you will, when it comes out. The minimum specs aren't actually as demanding as I thought they would be. Minimum spec is a 2500K plus a GTX 770 or an FX 6300 plus an R9 280 3 gig.
Okay,
That's completely reasonable.
no,
What
it's
years?
not, because their minimum specs are Kepler, and Kepler is dead in the year of our Lord 2012 plus 7. Kepler
what
is
I'm
a
saying is,
bad architecture.
I know, but what I'm saying is they're actually much lower than I thought they would be. I thought the minimum specs would be like 1060.
Yeah, or like Maxwell.
1660 at least.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised at the minimum specs. Have you seen the hardware specs of the Xbox One?
Yeah.
Isn't
Ugh.
is it a 270?
No, not
Or is
even
it a
that.
280?
It's a R7 260 equivalent, except downclocked.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's not very good. Oh, and it's got
What's
DDR3,
Scorpio?
so you have to like cut the mem clock in half. Oh, Scorpio it's actually a custom chip. It's, I don't know, RX 590 is going to be the closest one, but it's kind of like, it's Vega, but not quite Vega, and also it has
So it's
some
2080
like,
Ti. Gotcha.
yeah. But no, it's actually really neat because it also has like some special hardware units in the GPU that can like do draw calls, so the CPU isn't loaded as heavily, which is good because the CPU is still trash and it's based on the tablet sock that AMD made in like 2014.
Yeah.
I was gonna get a Scorpio, but next gen is next year,
Yeah.
so I'm not even gonna bother.
Yeah, I actually forget how long the Xbox One and PS4 have been out for.
Yeah,
Kind
2013.
of thing. Yeah, that's what, 6 years, almost 7 years now. It's pretty
It'll
cool.
be 7 when it drops. Well, assuming, I mean, there's no way that Xbox is gonna let the PS5 come out before, or at least not like that far before the what are they calling the next Xbox?
Xbox
Project
2.
Scarlet. Shut up.
Oh,
No, they've
no,
actually.
dude, they should totally call it the Xbox 2. That would be brilliant. Just mess with everyone.
The Xbox 3.
No, I saw an interesting article on this actually.
It's not even the
Microsoft have
third
already
one.
Microsoft have already announced the name of the next Xbox. It's called the PlayStation. PlayStation 6.
Oh wow.
If they called it the Xbox 6, that would be hilarious. Can
It's
you
much
imagine?
better than the PlayStation 5.
Oh my God, that'd be so great.
I don't think it's going to be Project Scarlet. I think Project
Well,
Scarlet's
that's a
going to be the
code
name. Yeah, the code name. But I can totally see Microsoft just doing something stupid, like calling it just Xbox or.
The thing is, we haven't gotten any leaks. We've been seeing crazy leaks from the PS5, but there's been nothing from the Xbox camp
Maybe
at all.
they'll call it the Xbox 10 because it's like
I was thinking
Windows
that.
10.
What happens if they call it the Xbox X?
Not to be confused with the Xbox One X.
Yes.
All the media is calling it the Xbox 2.
Oh no. Okay, well they're going to be
Uh,
wrong because they called it the Xbox 720. Remember?
Oh
Oh.
God, yes, I
That was so dumb.
love those rumors, dude. Like
Okay.
vintage
Oh my
YouTube
God.
videos where it's like upcoming console leaks and whatnot, and it's just like these weird
really bad
photoshops.
pictures.
Dude,
really
I
bad pictures.
miss
with, like,
that. I miss that kind of thing because it's so much content in one video. It's so low quality, but you can tell the guy who made it is having fun with it. And if you try that today, it's going to be like a 20-minute analysis of this JPEG ass picture. I don't want that. I don't want
Chris-
that. It's not.
Chris, I just linked you something that is
Yes!
very my favorite is there's the Wii phone, which is a Nintendo controller, but with like an old Motorola like
God,
screen
yes,
and
drowning
keypad
pool.
photoshopped.
Oh my
onto it.
God. It's
so-
the Switch before there was a Switch.
And then there's the new iPod where it like flicks open. Oh my goodness, it's so funny how like everything would just
Oh my God! Because
horribly wrong.
flip phones were a thing back then. There's the GameCube portable.
Oh no!
I would legit use a GameCube portable.
Oh
The
wow.
XPD Win. You can get one now.
Oh no.
Check it out. So here are the actual specs on it. It will utilize AMD Navi. That's better.
Navi.
With a
Navi?
performance
Navy?
boost four times more powerful than the Xbox One X. It's interesting they say the X, not the regular one. It's going to have 8K resolutions. That doesn't mean anything. Real-time ray tracing and GDDR6.
So, okay, breaking down the specs there, 8K just means video output. I doubt even any indie games are going to do that, but like if you've got 8K movies, for instance, that'll work.
No, 8K ray tracing. That's what they're guaranteeing.
Yeah, there is hardware ray tracing. They've talked that up. That's we'll leave that for another
8K
time.
ray tracing. Oh my god.
Yeah, RT baby, real time ray tracing. That's
Dude,
the future.
What if that actually launched like the next console? Like this thing is so powerful, it actually can do real time 8K ray tracing, and it's on a console.
So
What if it happens?
wait, just hang on. So, Chris, you might know this more, but is it possible to do ray tracing? How they kind of make it worse is they add a bunch of noise to not make the calculations as hard. Could they also do ray tracing at a lower resolution? So could it be like a layer that is actually ray traced, or the sort of reflections are done at like 1080p, even though it's on a 4K resolution?
Oh, do like ray trace stuff and then upscale it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Or checkerboarded or something like that.
Yeah.
Like adaptive resolution?
Well, I mean, like, there's been a lot of effort into like upscaling and downscaling lately, like NVIDIA's DLSS, which is not so hot from what I've heard. AMD's got some fancy upscaling thing. I don't remember what it's called now, but they talked it up. There's a
They
whole
talked it up, and it's only on the 5700 for now, which is
Well, I mean, to be fair, that could very well be like a hardware part of just the video controller.
sure, yeah.
God, what's the other thing? Also, the like retro graphics mode where it's like pixel perfect upscaling, the integer scaling thing.
That was super cool.
Yeah,
That I really like, because there are some old games that I play that are like 640 by 480, and it's like, what the hell? I'm not going to squint in this tiny screen. I'm not going to set my like scaling to 400% and mess everything up.
And if you upscale it elsewhere, it gets really blurry because this was all like
let alone your
art and
let alone like your mouse suddenly moves a lot more with the upscale. Yeah, I love that it's taken 20 years to do this when it should have like been around since the GTX 8000 series. Really.
Yeah, it's like
CRT emulation technology. I want real ray trace scan lines on all my games.
Frick, no. Anyway, what I wanted to actually mention is that Grand Theft Auto 2 has a huge minimum requirement of 150 gigs of hard drive space. That's more than Call of Duty Fish Edition, where they had the AI fish.
Yeah,
it's more than any other game except for the newest Call of Duty, which is like 170 gigs or something.
175.
Yeah.
How?
I mean, it's more than Fallout 4 with the additional HD texture pack, which doesn't make things that great anyway.
Yeah, because it's Bethesda.
Well, Titanfall had
so
the same thing. Titanfall had a massive amount of, I think it was like 100 gigs or something.
Titanfall had like uncompressed audio in like 20 different languages.
Yeah. Like really ridiculously high quality audio, which is like, okay.
Yeah, audio file shooter. Okay, so I'm just looking at some stuff here. So 150 gigs for Grand Theft Auto 2, but if we look at Grand Theft Auto 5, that is a 65 gig install. So Grand Theft Auto 2, I am looking at the recommended specs.
No, it's more now.
Okay,
it's 80.
Okay,
it's not much of a difference.
Andrew, shut up, because these are the official specs when GTA 5 came out. I'm getting somewhere. So Grand Theft Auto 2 is now 2.3 times bigger than GTA 5. And when did GTA 5 come out on PC? It was 2015, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, 2 years after.
So it's been 4 years, and the game is barely more than twice the size. And like SSD prices have come down to a third or a quarter as much per byte. Because like back in 2015, terabyte SSDs were still like $300+. But nowadays you can get them for 80.
Wait, hang on. That's a fair point. But what I do want to point out, I think a lot of people have a 1 terabyte SSD. That's like a really good price point. I have a 1 terabyte SSD. So I have a 1 terabyte SSD for my games drive, and I've noticed it getting kind of, full, because a lot of these games are getting bigger. It's not really an option for me to add another 1 terabyte.
Buy a 2 terabyte.
No, but you see, 2 terabyte, it's a big money sink.
Yeah.
It's still like, okay, I don't actually know the price of 2 terabytes, but I'm going to guess at least $200, right?
Depends on the drive. Hang on, let me go to PC Parts.
Like a semi decent non QLC drive.
Oh, non QLC. There we go.
Yeah.
The Team GX2 is $190. There's no way that's QLC. That's going to be like some off the shelf, bottom of the barrel TLC drive. But that's like $190 for 2 terabytes. Like that's not bad.
Right. Yeah, but still, it's annoying. At best,
No,
it's annoying.
that's
Like I do want a 2 terabyte drive, but I can't put another hard drive in my case.
Yeah.
Or another SSD in my case.
I
So-
would really love it if tiered storage takes off, just so I could have something like, sure, let's buy a 4, 5, 6 terabyte hard disk, and we'll pair it up with a terabyte SSD, and it will cache the files in the SSD, and it'll just be totally transparent. So I've got a lot of space for games, and most of the time they work at SSD speed.
I mean,
Sweet,
if
give
you
me
want
that.
to take it,
Hook me up.
if you want to take that further, can't you do that over a NAS or SAN rather? You have a 10 gig link, and you have like a 20 gig SAN, 20 terabyte SAN, and you just use that as your main storage, and then you have like a huge 2 terabyte SSD cache. I think that could be kind of cool.
Oh, actually, one thing you can do with a server in like your house, you can mess with your DNS. So instead of downloading from, say, Steam servers, Steam will like download from your local server. So you can just download all of the game files onto this local server, and then Steam on your system will pull like game downloads from that server. A lot of reviewers do this just to save time, so they can do it locally over a fast network instead of very slowly over the internet. But like, if you could do something like that, then you could just have a bunch of game installs sitting there, just install and uninstall at will on a 10 gig link, and at that point, local storage hardly even matters. Like, 250 gigs, that's fine. I can fit one game on it.
Can fit
looking at
so many
right
of these
now.
bad boys.
Have you seen how much NVMe hard drives have dropped? I'm looking at a price for a Crucial 500 gigabyte NVMe, $80.
Are you sure it's
Give me
NVMe,
this-
or is it just
Yeah.
M2? Because M2 comes in SATA and PCI Express flavors.
Okay, it says 500 gig 3D NAND NVMe PCI M2.
All right, that would be NVMe.
Yeah, probably.
$80.
You can tell it's NVMe because it says NVMe. Yeah.
Thanks.
That is
don't know.
really cheap.
I'm
I got
really
getting that.
glad. Really glad that it's
I'm
dropped
gonna
in
get 2
price.
of them.
But I'm still
if you
running
get 2, they're
Z97.
$28 each.
I'm still running Z97. My motherboard doesn't have any M2 slots on it, and I'm still running mainly SATA. So I've got to make an effort if I want to get PCI Express drives. Let's just say that.
Is
Yeah,
there like
and
something wrong with Crucial drives? Why are they so cheap?
no, there's nothing wrong. There's a
It's
few
just-
that have some issues, but the vast majority are like fine. Nothing to
Well,
write home
Rick,
about, but they're fine.
Keep in mind, Crucial is the consumer label for Micron. Micron makes memory. Micron makes DRAM. There you go. Like everything
Yeah.
that you need is made in house, I guess, except for the controller. Whereas, like with a lot of these companies, like AData, Team, Silicon Power, I'm just reading through PC part picker names. Mushkin, like all of these guys, they have to buy
Ah,
stuff
Miss
from
Mushkin.
They're still around.
I know, but they're not really around anymore. They used to make some amazing DDR2 RAM.
Yeah.
And then they just went,
they had
no,
a-
we're going to make garbage.
Yeah, they had like the cheapest terabyte SSD on the market for a while. It was like $250, I think, and it was a good $100 less than everything else for 2 or 3 years, if I remember correctly. Like it was a long time.
And it wasn't even bad. It was like actually good.
Yeah, no, it was like a stock standard Silicon Motion controller, stock standard TLC NAND, but it was all right. It did its job.
Yeah.
What do you guys know about Asgard 3D, or Asgard rather?
I don't trust that brand at all. Give me 10.
It's 1 terabyte, $70 NVMe,
Yeah.
M2.
Oh my god, dude, I just realized, give me 10. That would be $700. In 2013, that would buy you 1 terabyte.
I would like 1 terabyte today.
SSDs are really cheap. I'm excited for this.
Yes, until another wave of corruption hits the shores.
Pretty much. But like, no, I mean,
nice.
I think that feasibly I can replace the hard disks in my server with Flash at some point in the near future. I'm not going to because that's silly, but I could do it.
My buddy bought a friggin' 1 terabyte micro SSD. Like, holy crap.
Yeah. What is it? It's either Western Digital or SanDisk. I mean, it's owned by the same company. They've released a new BGA drive, and it's just like a complete system on a chip. It's a one-chip solution. It's got the controller. I think it's got the flash in it, or maybe the flash is a separate chip. But either way, it is a 22 millimeter by 30 millimeter M2 drive. And if you don't want it in M2, you can just solder it to a motherboard for something like a laptop or a tablet. It's tiny, and it's huge, and it's NVMe. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Toshiba BG4. There we go. Yeah, it's just one package. Just one single... I'm going to say that's like 20 by 15 millimeter. That's tiny. Yeah.
One thing that I do really... Like, SSDs have been getting cheaper, but I think 2 terabytes and above have not.
Yeah.
Like,
part of
really, really, really want a 4 terabyte SSD. They are still like $600+.
Yep.
About the youth market.
2 terabyte, expect that to get cheap in the near future because prices are so low now. 4 terabyte, I think the reason that those are still so expensive is because those have only been like Halo products. So you get like the 960, 970 Pro in 4 terabyte flavors, but you're not going to get any other drive because nobody's really, making those. So maybe you'll start to see those become more common. But for the time being, I'd expect like $200 2 terabyte drives to start being more common. And I really hope there are, because I don't have a whole lot of PCI Express lanes left. I kind of need these.
Yeah, going to, like, I have an NVMe drive, an M.2 drive, and then 2 SATA drives connected. I'm kind of disappointed with, because I have a Z390 motherboard, I'm kind of disappointed with how little storage stuff I can just shove into my motherboard.
Yeah.
Like, I swear my P8, P6, 7 had more storage options, albeit it was SATA too, and half of them were a third-party controller that was a little bit slow.
Yeah, those were all trash.
Back when we had like was it Micron? I think it was a Micron controller.
J-Micron.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with regular Micron.
For half the things, and everyone was just like, yeah, just don't use them. It's awful.
Not
it's
only
like, cool. Just lose half my storage.
I think when you like benchmark them, it ended up being worse than the native SATA 2 ports, despite ostensibly being SATA 3. Like, latency was worse and bandwidth was worse. They were just bad.
They just died early?
No, there was some also, they were just slow. They were like, high latency, bad bandwidth. There were also some people that reported a lot of blue screens. And you couldn't boot off of them either. So it's just like, just don't touch them. Don't touch them.
I think my 990FX motherboard had one of those, but since it had native SATA 6, that wasn't really as big an issue. Granted, it was AMD's implementation, so it was lackluster. But like, I just disabled them in BIOS.
Yeah.
I never needed them because it's got like 6 native ports. Like, what am I going to use this for?
So
I don't need all of these.
Yeah, you mentioned disabling that in the BIOS. I don't know if you guys do this, but I do it. I don't know if it's even worth it, but anything I don't use on my motherboard, I disable it in the BIOS.
Yeah,
so
I did
audio
that.
Card. Yeah.
I disabled the audio card for my for the motherboard that I was going to use for my HTPC. Did that back in like February. Built the HTPC last month. Spent several hours swearing increasingly loudly troubleshooting as to why I couldn't get the sound card to show up in Kodi. Oh, oops.
Oh, I was an idiot. Yeah.
I'm my own worst enemy because I don't document anything.
Nice. I thought the speed of these things would scale. So I'm looking at the speed. Like right now, the best ranked SSD is a Samsung 860 EVO. It's got a write speed of 520 megabytes. But I looked at a CFast card. I don't even know what the hell this thing is. It's another type of flash memory. And the highest one that is like 530 megabytes per second.
It doesn't matter. if it is a SATA 3 SSD, it is going to be like, it's just going to be capped out by the bus speed. It's not going to go any faster than that. And frankly, sequential speeds for SSDs just don't matter a whole lot. Like, yeah, sometimes they matter if you're using them like a hard disk, but it's been established since Intel made the X25 that it's all about the randoms and it's all about the latency.
Yeah.
IOPs.
Yeah.
So while
You got it.
while our hard drives are going to become increasingly large and inflated with these games,
Fill me with your games.
stop.
No.
Okay. Have you heard that Intel is getting rid of Kaby Lake and Kaby Lake-G? They're weird amalgamation of the Vega plus, well, Kaby Lake CPUs.
I'm really sad about Kaby Lake-G because Kaby Lake-G was neat. It was nothing really used it because it was just way too hot. It was better off just using like a standard ass i7 and a Pascal GPU or something. But it was a cool idea. I think part of it was a tech demo for Intel's new packaging tech, EMIB. What is that? Embedded multi-die interconnect bridge or something like that. Because that's how they connect. Like, yeah, but that's how they connect the HBM to it. Because HBM is hard to connect. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What am I saying? Oh yeah, so Kaby Lake-G. The only thing that really used it was the Skull Canyon NUC. And
Yes, that was what used it.
I'm actually really not sure about that because everybody got review samples for the top tier Skull Canyon NUC, but there was a lower tier as well that had a weaker GPU in it. I have not seen a single review of that online at all. Like nobody's even gone out to buy them, so I don't think it's gotten a whole lot of attention.
Yeah,
I still want to get my hands on one though because it's a cool little chip.
I'm sure I've seen some laptops with it.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't be surprised because it's very definitely a mobile small form factor type chip, but it just runs so hot. That's the thing.
Yeah, it gets to the point of like it's just better for laptops to put in dedicated CPU and dedicated GPU because then they can also control sort of how much thermals they want, how big they want this laptop to be, how much cooling they want, etc. You can't put it really in tablets.
Oh, absolutely not. These things are like 65 watt TDP minimum.
I don't think the Surface Book had it, although I think people thought they were going to. It's kind of one of those things,
right?
Yeah, there's a new Surface Book. I actually accidentally used them.
New Surface Book. That's just a standard. It's just standard Intel Ice Lake standard AMD APUs. Like the AMD stuff is semi-custom parts, but that's just like we enabled more cores and we upped the clocks. So it's it's just a basic old APU. There's nothing really fancy
anything for more cores, cynical.
Oh you're right. Cores are good. I like cores.
We gotta have more cores.
Yeah.
It is kind of interesting how they've stuck with their design as well of the Surface Book because I have a Surface Book 1. And I was going through the mall, I think, a week ago, and went to the Microsoft store and saw I didn't even know it was the new Surface Book 3 until the guy mentioned it.
Yeah.
Like, they've stuck to the same design. I guess it was kind of obvious because it's the 15-inch iteration, and it did kind of have the words new Surface Book above it, but hey.
It's a nice design. Like, it's clean. It's functional. I don't know. I like it. It's aesthetically pleasing. Oh, it's got that little watch band hinge. Not a fan of those, but whatever. Those hinges are kind of like, they look terrible and they look like they would be awful. Using them, you don't even notice at all. Yeah.
I've put it in a backpack that's been like quite compressed as well. And it's done perfectly fine. Like I had a...
I feel like I get my leg hair pinched in that.
No, it's sealed off.
Oh, okay,
That's
good.
a really weird specific thing, but no, it's sealed off.
It's happened 3 times already today.
So I don't know if you know about this flaw with the old MacBooks. Like before they went to the unibody thing, they had all the separate thing like construction and stuff. I had a MacBook for school, and the Apple logo would get indented on the screen because I put it in my book bag and my books would compress the laptop, and the Apple logo would press against the back of the backlight and the LCD.
Oh,
I have
no.
a permanent burn-in of an Apple logo on my screen, and everyone else who had an Apple laptop at my school had the same thing. And Apple would not honor the warranty for that. I mean, kind of obviously because I broke it, but it's just so stupid.
Because isn't Apple customer service supposed to be like really awful unless you have Apple Care?
It's all over the place. So that laptop I got a complete replacement for 2 times because there was I don't think it was a class action lawsuit, but there was a big known fault with the GPU unsoldering itself.
Oh yeah, because it used Fermi.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was before Fermi.
Yeah, it was an 8600M.
Yeah, because NVIDIA got really angry, or Apple got really angry about that, and like said that they would not use NVIDIA because of this issue when Fermi was.
Do you know what's
out.
weird? So yeah, it was reported huge. I mean, it would have been terrible for them to go to Fermi, but it wasn't that big of an issue in terms of like. I think I just got a lemon, and I would bet you anything they repaired instead of replacing it the first time. But I think I was the only one in my school that got it. This is the only one that I knew of that got it. It was just a crap laptop, really. Honestly, the battery exploded after a while as well. That was fun.
Good old lithium batteries.
Yeah,
the new
MacBooks
are pretty bad as well. So you might be lucky there.
The new ones are pretty decent from what I've seen.
Keyboard.
No, not the new ones. I mean, like the unibody ones, like 2014, 15, 16.
Oh yeah, those were the last good ones.
Oh yeah, if you're talking about the new ones, good lord.
No, I really like my Surface Book. Like it's what I like about it is like Microsoft kind of just went, okay, we're not going to mess around. We're going to just take all the things that people complain about and make a great laptop. The screen is amazing. The build quality is amazing. It's got a MagSafe thing, which Apple just ditched because, USB-C. Like MagSafe is amazing.
Dude, I love the Apple laptop chargers. Yes, like that is their most compelling.
No, but they got rid of it. You know that, right?
I do
it's
now.
Stupid.
I forgot about that.
And do you know what's also great about the Surface Book charger? It has a USB-C output. So I can charge my phone and my laptop at the same time while plugging all the stuff into the laptop. Or I can just charge my phone by itself.
Brain things.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's just good user experience. Thank you, Microsoft. I love you. And please send me free things.
The thing being able to flip the screen around as well is pretty cool. The pen, if you care about drawing, it's a 2048 pressure sensor point pen, which is really neat because you only used to see that on like Wacom stuff before, which was very expensive. I lost my pen because I don't care about it and I don't use it.
$150 pen.
Yeah, it is quite expensive, but you get it for free and you don't have anywhere to store it, which is annoying. But yeah, no, Surface Book 3 for me is like one of the best laptops. Same for the 2, I guess. Yeah.
What was I going to say? Hang on.
Do you want to talk about the Google Stadia being negative latency?
No. It was to do with Microsoft stuff. Apple stuff. God damn it. I don't remember now.
Do you want to just talk about Google Stadia?
No. It was Apple stuff. It was Apple stuff. Hey, Alex, remember that time that you dug an Apple monitor out of the garage and you squished a bug underneath the screen?
No. So, okay, clarity. That wasn't an Apple monitor. Okay. Well, okay. No, the story is worse. So my dad used to have he had a bunch of like Cinema Pro displays. I can't remember what they used to call them, but like their first IPS displays, they're okay. I just got some displays for free, right? And I gave them some to my friend who you might know of. And his mom dropped it from like bookshelf height onto the floor.
Yeah, I think you were thinking do that.
But what you are thinking of is when I had my Dell IPS monitor, and I saw a thing underneath, or a thing on it, like a bug on the monitor. And for some reason, I decided I don't know, like I just squished it. and it was
Oh, no.
it was underneath the panel. So I ended up with a permanent like bug splatter underneath my panel that I could always see. Oh, it was so bad.
Yeah, I was there for that. That was funny.
Yeah, because
Wild
as I was
animal.
doing it, I realized what happened, and I was just like, "Oh no!" And there's nothing you can do. So that was fun.
I'm
But
glad
yeah.
you told that story.
Thank you. Anyway, one more story just to wrap it up before we go. The Google Stadia. They are saying that it'll be faster and more responsive than local gaming. So Google is claiming that gaming over the internet, over thousands of kilometers or miles, over multiple switches, firewalls, cables, through the telephone wires from the 50s is going to be more responsive than a, let me say, 1.5 meter DisplayPort cable.
Yeah.
What's the matter? You can't understand that's
So
totally possible.
they're going to predict your movements before you even realize it.
It is Google, so that probably isn't too far from the truth.
Anyway, the VP of Engineering, Madge Baker, said in a year or two, in inverted commas, Google Stadia is going to be more responsive and faster than local gaming. Thanks to some precog trickery, Google believes its streaming system will be faster than the gaming systems of the near future, no matter how powerful they may become.
It won't be.
But if the yeah, and then PC Games goes on to say, but if the system plays itself, does that really count?
No.
Yeah. The VP of engineering literally says negative latency.
Yeah, that is a load of frick doo-doo, because frick is a horse.
You leave me out of this. Can I introduce you to my friend Tesla and his wireless power?
No.
I mean, at least wireless power works. Like the QI chargers or Qi chargers or however.
I'm talking about that kind of wireless power. I'm talking about what Tesla actually wanted for wireless power.
Yeah.
Invisible things moving throughout the air, wireless power.
Actually, you know what? You could do that with a photodiode, or not a photodiode. I guess you'd want to use a photocell and a high power laser.
Oh God, help us.
Okay, look, it's not a great idea, but yeah. So here's the thing: like, Stadia is vaporware. Stadia is not going to last. I do not see Stadia lasting. I don't see it catching on. The barrier to entry to it is just so ridiculously high that anybody who can afford Stadia can absolutely afford a console. Like, even if it's the cheapest possible console, they can afford it. Video compression is mandatory for streaming games over the internet. It absolutely is not over like DisplayPort or DVI. So you're going to have like any kind of really noisy textures like foliage or hair or that kind of thing. That's just going to get compressed to hell. Negative latency just means the game plays itself, or rather,
it has a giant buffer, which is latency.
The game doesn't play itself. Rather, the game uses a machine learning algorithm to predict what you will do, which means the game does a series of arithmetic equations and says, hey, based on this player, it's likely that they'll do this, but that's not necessarily what you're going to do. So the game is going to be very frustrating to play when it does things that you wouldn't be doing. I guarantee it. I don't see Stadia lasting, and frankly, as far as I'm concerned, just based on the specs that got leaked, and I think I've brought this up before, it's basic Radeon Instinct hardware, just like Vega-based GPUs. It is basic Skylake, well, I guess Cascade Lake most likely, but it's basic current gen Xeons, and like, if Stadia dies, because Stadia is all just hardware and software and licensing, Google still got the hardware. They're going to be doing machine learning stuff like Google AI or whatever when the Stadia servers are not under load. So it's not going to last. I see Google killing this off, like a lot of Google products in the past. Gmail is the exception. Let's be honest. Gmail and Google search, that's all that's lasted.
I mean,
YouTube.
and Google Cloud.
Oh yeah, Google Cloud's all right. Google Docs is good, but like,
Google Drive is great.
yeah, Google
Google
Plus, who's still using that? Google Glass, they had hardware and it never happened.
Yeah, I also think that I don't think this is going to last much because there's a lot of just people don't want it. Like, and also completely forgetting countries like, well, South Africa, Australia. Like, honestly, a huge chunk of America and Canada have terrible internet.
Yeah.
And it is way cheaper to buy an Xbox One X or whatever from Walmart than it is to get any decent internet service to play the Google Stadia that you're going to be playing the same games you're playing the same amount for.
Now, to be fair, Google does claim that you only need they recommend a 35 megabit per second download rate for 4K game streaming. But that just raises...
Have you seen South Africa? That would cost you so much money.
But that's fair. That's fair. But just thinking about the United States, a couple years back anyway, the average internet download speed was 20 megabits per second. So this is double that. Like, that's doable for most people, albeit maybe expensive. Alex, hang on. I'm getting somewhere with this. But the thing is,
averages.
The internet speed requirement, even for 4K, is so easily attainable by most people. Like, most people's infrastructure will support it, even if it is expensive in the United States outside of rural areas. If you're in an urban area, you can get it. But that means that 35 megabits per second is delivering all of this 4K footage. DVI does 4 gigabits per second, and that was made in the 1990s. The next-gen DisplayPort cables are going to do 80 gigabits per second. It will be 2,000 Google Stadias of bandwidth.
I mean, that also just shows how much compression is being used. I mean, let alone wanting to even run this at like 120 FPS, let alone input late. There's just so many things about this that just don't seem great. Like, a lot of the draw as well, you could go, oh, what about, sort of pixel games or platformers and stuff. A lot of draw of that is the really nice vibrant colors and really crisp images. That's just going to get thrown away.
420 color downsampling. Yeah,
it's not going to be great. I mean, most TVs are 422 anyway, but 420 is actually noticeably worse for a lot of people.
Hey, let's wrap this back around to the Steam links that I mentioned early on. Man, cannot believe that those became relevant. When I did try that out with my desktop, I had a 100 megabit per second Ethernet link. So, and that was driving a 1080p monitor. That is approximately 12 times the bandwidth per pixel that Google is recommending for Stadia. And it was noticeably compressed. Like, compared to the native monitor image, there was visible artifacting. It was very obvious. Like, not unusable. I could totally use this, like, say, just a terminal elsewhere in the house away from my desktop, but it's not the same. It is very definitely lower quality. And maybe Google's got like some special magic algorithms. Okay, fair. Like H265 is a thing now. So that alone is going to help out a lot. But still, it's noticeable. You're not going to be able to get away from that.
Yeah, I just still think people's resistance to adopting this is going to be their biggest issue.
If you can deliver 100 gigabit Ethernet to my house, then I will consider this. Until then.
I got the latest where we can find out which, like, the average internet speed for the US. These are the most up-to-date stats from Vox.com. And it turns out...
Vox.com.
Oh, I mean, it's the most recent one.
Go for it, Rick.
The most, I mean, the average nowadays is around 50 megabits per second.
Okay, and that's what I was going to say is I'd like to see the median, because the average is, like, a lot of, not states, but places, you can just get 1,000 quite easily, whereas, like, I feel, I don't know, the curve is going to be, if people have fiber, they have fast fiber, right? Like, but whereas if you got, like, a lot of people are going to be struggling with DSL or really, really crappy cable. Like, New York City has terrible internet, despite it being a really urban area. There's a lot of places that only offer DSL because of the stupid competition and
what competition?
Yeah, I think it
Right.
was. No, yeah, exactly.
According
What
to the
competition?
article, it says the average internet speed in New York is 105 megabits a second.
That's terrible. That's actually terrible considering how many businesses are there and how many fiber they do offer in some areres.
Yeah.
Like
So
again, I would want to see the median and like sort of a bell curve.
I checked the Steam survey.
50 megabits is the lowest, and then like the median is about. I mean, altogether it averages out to about 85 for the whole of the
in
US.
New York.
Okay.
And the highest,
That's
the crazy
better
one,
than
the
I thought.
highest, New Jersey has 121.
Okay.
New Jersey.
I mean, it's kind of depressing when the highest in the entire country is 121. Now, I'm not saying that's
It's
horrible
depressing
or
when
anything
New
like
Jersey takes a record.
that. Oh, New Jersey. Hawaii. What's crazy is that Hawaii is 114.
Well, that doesn't say anything about latency, and that's just like computer to ISP facility. I'm not sure they're counting like undersea cables or if those would have a bottleneck.
No, because when I used to live in South Africa, like when you do speed tests, you get a much better speed on a speed test than you ever could downloading, for example.
Here's the crazy thing. So the Atlas and Boots did a key headline for the entire world's average internet speed, which rounds out to 11 megabits a second.
Now, is that mean or median?
Terrible.
The global average.
Well, yeah, but average is in mean
It
or
just
average
says
is in
global
median.
average.
That's an average.
All right.
Atlas Boots, yeah.
So
It's the Atlas.
I checked the Steam hardware and software survey to see if we could like see something. All right, maybe this is indicative of what gamers get. So we click on network speed, and the number one network speed is
Don't tell me it's
unspecified.
gigabit.
Unspecified, with 99.99% of Steam users having this.
I thought they were just going to measure the NIC speed.
I
How
think
would they
they
even
do
do that?
because there's 10,000 kilobit per second. Wait, no, is that 10 megabit? I guess that'd be 10 megabit.
10,000.
I
Yeah,
don't
10.
know what they're even looking at here.
Measures in kilobits per second.
I've
Wanna
seen
go
a
back
few
to
measured
measures?
bytes.
That's
and stuff.
fast. That's just Ethernet. That's not even fast Ethernet.
100,000 odd. That's what it is.
10 base T.
There you go.
Oh no. Anyway, we've been going on and rambling for a while, so I think it's time to wrap this up.
Yeah, I gotta pee anyway. Balls are full of pee because pee is stored in the balls.
I know how badly you wanted to say that. Oh,
This
my
one's for you, Simmons. Simmons was ghost.
God. He's not dead.
Yeah. not
Anyway.
yet.
No, stop.
What?
Anyway.
He's dying from a head cold.
Okay.
Rest
Listen.
in peace.
Okay, we need to wrap this up now, Chris.
Fine.
Please. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And I hope you have a great Thanksgiving if you're in Canada, or, Spooktober if you're in everywhere else in the world. Yeah, so enjoy some pumpkin pie and thank you for listening. Good night.
A good
Oh,
day.
I want some pumpkin pie right now. I haven't had that in ages. Wait, Alex, pumpkin spice lattes.
Oh, how do you like that, eh?